is Boadu TV. Truth and integrity.
Mayama munyina kwa bamfambra Boadu TV so. Why your first time no na wa subscribe ye nyina yen like na yen je comment into comment section ye wi na share. Paul Adom Otchere the video biaba na video no eye Ghana ni a wasan so Jamaica ni we half what I say 50-50 na osene grandma ewu o Jamaica osoko o US ya to Ghana embassy e wo hom enti no wontimi enko na waka na wusu ana Paul kire say wo sa Okudzato tabla ko ya kasa wunti wo say ena fraud bi akoso wo ho eti ma lock no matum what bi da say embassy ye close ni down sa ye close embassy down sa ade wa ye na bi nsi da ade a Okudzato abla kwa ye no na bi nsi da azowaye wo kan say an me na me ye minister of foreign affairs nti ma ya maye na Kevin Taylor so ta na chi Paul de amano we no sinche NPP elections mutisen omunse amafo kekasa na mpeso mo ye bibia de favor Bawumia eyampa se mpeso mo ye bibi de favor Bawumia and so Paul aboyrim.
There's something going on that we don't understand. So Foreign Minister Okudzato here, the youngest, I believe the youngest foreign minister that we've ever had. Congratulations to him in that regard. He decided to do a shake-up at the Ghanaian embassy in Washington not long ago. We all heard it. People applauded it. But it appears that his shake-up has created a lot more difficulty. So the allegations that were raised by him, which has been raised by him again in Parliament yesterday, is that there's a syndicate at Ghana's embassy in Washington, and that syndicate is visa racketeering for Ghanaians who are also Americans, dual citizens, who are looking for visa to come to Ghana. Ablakwa indicated that the process is corrupted by some gentleman. He mentioned the name, a certain Mr. Kwating, and that he has made himself a middleman, intercepted the process, takes money from people, keeps the money, and issues them visas, and that he was going to pull that down. In fact, he actually closed down the embassy, unfortunately, for a few days. Well, he announced an indefinite closure. Later, he came and said it will be open on a certain day. Everybody was wild because closing down embassy is a diplomatic statement. That means quite a bit. Anybody who studied a bit of politics will know, or international politics will know that announcing that an embassy has been closed in another person's country really is a political diplomatic statement that means something. It indicates a certain hostility between the two countries. So I guess he was spoken with, and quickly he came and changed it, and the embassy is opened. Now a few days later, a lady comes up on social media who is not well known. She says she's Jamaican and Ghanaian and American, and that she can't understand how she's not able to access a visa from the embassy. Phone calls go dead, emails go dead, nobody replies, and this is all happening under the aegis of the foreign minister. Now today, or was it yesterday? I think it's today. The foreign minister was in Parliament, and he said this: Ablakwa blames U.S. postal services for visa delivery delays. I didn't understand it. U.S. postal services are to be blamed for the visa delivery delays. Is there a breakdown in U.S. postal services that the American authorities have not announced? Is there a problem at the U.S. postal services? When he said it, he didn't quite explain it. He just said that the postal services, I've never seen a foreign minister blame U.S. postal services for delays in issuing visa to your people. I don't understand it. I mean, it's really, really interesting. But that's what he said, and I don't know. So today in Parliament, this is what he said, and let me read it. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzato, has attributed delays in the delivery of U.S. visa and passports to logistical challenges on the part of the United States Postal Services. I'm sure that Minister Kofi Boa might have a better explanation to this. You know why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because Minister Kofi Boa used to be Postmaster General at Washington, D.C., one of the highest offices held by any African for a very long time in Washington, D.C. That was celebrated among many Ghanaian communities in America. At that time, when in Ghana, we heard that a Ghanaian has become the Postmaster General. It's a very, very important position in Washington. Because our post offices don't work, it might sound, not so important. But in Washington, D.C. is one of the most important positions, the Postmaster General. And Kofi Boa occupied that position before he came to Elembele to be elected as Member of Parliament. So I'm guessing that, I'm hoping that Ablakwa has that information. Sometimes these are young men, they don't even have the information of who has been where. But if Ablakwa had that information, I think he should have called Kofi Boa to explain to him that we are having some challenges with the U.S. postal system. And I'm sure with the press of a button or a phone call, Kofi Boa could have been able to solve that problem, because Kofi Boa was there in 2007. Yes, in 2007, 2008, Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa was the Postmaster General in Washington, D.C. That's a matter of fact. So I'm not sure what is happening. They are both in the cabinet. Kofi Boa is Lance Minister, you are Foreign Minister, you are having difficulties. You just call him. And Kofi Boa will be able to solve this problem for you. I don't know whether he called him, but I'm guessing he didn't. So this is where we are. He says that the U.S. visa and passport to logistical, he attributing the challenges to logistical challenges on the part of the United States Postal Services. He, Ablakwa, made this revelation on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday, June 18th, while addressing growing concerns over the late arrival of visa packages, which have sparked anxiety among applicants in recent weeks. They are occurring under your watch, and then you come and speak plenty English, that this and that and that. I'm receiving texts right now. People are still complaining in Washington, D.C., and we're going to put them out on social media that the thing is not working. It was working before. It is not working now. What is the problem? So I saw this video, and people sent it to me on social media, and we put it up on our social media page. Some of you don't look at social media, so have a look at the video. It's a lady who says she's Jamaican, she's Ghanaian, she wants to come and something. Have a look at the video.
My grandma just died in Jamaica. I am devastated. I want to go home for her funeral, and I can't because of the Ghanaian embassy in Washington, D.C.
Well, so that's the video, and we hope that it will get better as time goes on and as we monitor it. So that's the Ablakwa video. Now, let me have the MPP behind me so I can begin the MPP story. What is the MPP story? The New Patriotic Party at a National Executive meeting and a National Council meeting yesterday decided that they will hold a general Congress to elect a flag bearer in January 2026. Why is this an important announcement, and why is this controversial? It's controversial because the MPP have changed the manner in which the flag bearers are elected. The process for most political parties in Ghana is that after an election, the party officials will be elected. Polling station executives will be elected. Constituency executives will be elected. Regional executives will be elected. And the national executive will be elected. Thereafter, the presidential candidate will be elected. The MPP agreed at the National Executive meeting based on a recommendation by a committee led by Mr. Frank Davis, formerly of Infant Spring School, who was also appeared to have heard what Kwabene Japan, another Infant Spring old boy, said, that the MPP, given the disarray in which it found itself post the end of the last election, should elect a flag bearer first to establish a clear leadership direction of the party. Going through the process will create a lot of rancor, etc. That view appeared to have been bought by many. And then the National Executive of the party organized a legal committee led by Frank Davis, including also Okudzato and others, to look at the situation. They reported to the National Executive Council and said that across all the people that they had interviewed, many people were happy with the early Congress to elect a flag bearer to stem the tide, as it were, and bring the MPP to even keel. So that's what was decided. And then another decision that was made is that there has to be a minimal expansion of the delegates, the Electoral College. That has been going on since 1992. Every time the Electoral College is expanded. The expansion proposed is that polling station executives who are 5 in number should become 7. Electoral area officials, who was 1, should now become 5. Constituency executives who are the constituency executive should now include former constituency executives, because they are stakeholders of the party at the constituency level, and they should have the right to vote in parliamentary and presidential elections. That is to say, have a right to select the parliamentary candidate and the presidential candidate. If you move up further, they are saying that MMDCs, that is the Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Assembly officials who have worked for the party at the base also should be part of it. Former MMDCs should all be part of the voting process. And then former members of parliament should be part of the voting process. And then former ministers should be part of the voting process. And then you have your regional chairman, and then you have your national council. And that altogether is going to add about 100,000 more votes to the MPP Electoral College. Altogether, it's looking like they're going to have about 500,000 people electing. And that proposal has to go on 19th July to the council, to the national conference. The National Delegates Conference is the highest decision-making body of any political party. And the National Delegates Conference is meeting at the Legon Stadium on 19th of July to then endorse these amendments to the Electoral College that has been proposed by the National Council, endorsed by the National Executive, endorsed by the National Council, and now heading to the highest decision-making body for a decision to be made. So that was the story. The fallout of the story is beginning to emerge. Some people think that holding the Congress in January is stifling the party and giving advantage to some people. Others think that is a good thing, back and forth, in and out, here and there. Tonight, we're going to break down the reasons why people think that the January Congress is good. And in doing so, we're going to set on the stage Bawumia NPP's thesis. And Bawumia NPP is a theoretical man, we know him. And he's put out a thesis that you cannot build a roof before you build a foundation. He assumes that the roof is the presidential candidate, the foundation is the polling station. That's how he puts it. We are looking at it differently. And that's why we're going to rely on Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Jean-Bertrand Rousseau to do the analysis. First, though, we want to give you a bit of nostalgia. This is not the first time the NPP is doing something radically different. And a producer, there's a new story, there's a new theme. This is not the first time the NPP is doing something radically different. Now, if you look at the epochal changes since 1992 in Ghana's politics, you will see that most of the epochal changes have been led by the NPP. That's a matter of record, and I'm going to refer to it. When 1992 started, the NDC hardly ever voted for a presidential candidate. Their election of presidential candidates was usually by popular acclamation. In fact, I've told friends of mine that if the NDC goes to a Congress ahead of 2028, it will be the first genuine competitive Congress that the NDC is going in since 1992. For 35 years, the NDC has not had a competitive Congress. Very competitive. No, they haven't. So it started with Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, over whom there was no voting. Rawlings was popular acclamation. But the NPP were voting. They had a Congress, the Electoral College of 2,000 people drawn from all the constituencies, 10 from each of the 200 constituencies in those days. And that's how it was 2,000. The constituencies were 200, and they draw 10 from each constituency. They come to Accra, they go to Kumasi, they go to Sunyani, they go to Koforidua, wherever the decision is made for the Congress to happen. And then they go and elect their leader. That's how Professor Dubois was chosen in 92. That's how J. Kufuor was chosen in 96. That's how J. Kufuor was chosen in 98. And then, that's how Akufo-Addo was chosen in 2007. Okay. Thereafter 2007, it was Nana Akufo-Addo. And we capture all this in my book. I mean, you have to get the book. I'll come back to the book in a minute. I'm printing, so I don't say a lot about it. But we're getting about 1,500 copies, I believe, very soon. So I capture all this in the book. So in 2007, Nana Akufo-Addo mooted an idea based on what happened in 2007. In fact, he mooted an idea in 2009. Based on what happened in 2007, Akufo-Addo felt that the Electoral College of 2000 was too small and that a delegate or a candidate with a lot of money could pay his way through to become the NPP's leader. Therefore, he mooted the idea that let's expand the voters register. Let's include polling station, and that's immediately shot the number up from 2,000 to about 180,000 for the 2010 election. And in the 2010 election, Akufo-Addo said at Legon, all of us were there, that if the amendment to expand the voters register failed, then he was no longer interested in leading the NPP, because he doesn't want to lead an NPP where 2,000 people are making the electoral college when politics has come so far since 1992. Fortunately for him, the amendment was carried, and in 2010 he went in and got a whopping 84% ahead of Alanche Martin to become the party's presidential candidate for the 2012 election. Flight Lieutenant Rawlings was observing this process and told the NDC, therefore, that you need to copy what the NPP has done. So that change of expanding the situation was led by the NPP. Let me take you back to 1996, another change that occurred. After the 1996 election, Peter Ala Ajete, Kwame Pienim, Odoi Sykes, Hakman Owusu-Agyemang, Yao Safo Maafo, and some of the key MPP leaders, not forgetting Theresa Amaletego and Gladys Asma, the two women who were much in charge, and including J.H. Mensah, felt that the candidates of the MPP being elected in the same year of the election was giving them too short a time to campaign. Professor Edubwahin was elected 3 months to the 1992 election. He lost. J. Kufuor was elected 3 months to the 1996 election. He lost. So they mooted an idea that you must have election at least 2 years. They said not later than 2 years. And I have to say that just before I started this program, because I wanted to check my facts, I called Mustafa Hamid. I was just about to call Von Brazil. Then I said, let me call Hamid. He was the national executive. I called Mustafa Hamid to confirm some of these things. And he checkmates me on some of the dates. So I have my facts really correct now. So the amendment was proposed that the MPP should have its delegates congress 2 years, not later than 2 years. So you can have it 3 years, a year and a half, whatever, but not later than 2 years. If you look at that proposal, what the MPP is doing for January 2026 is in line with its constitution. It says not later than 2 years. So we'll get there. So this not later than 2 years was proposed in 1997. When it was proposed in 1997, 1997 was just 3 years to the election. So they had to hold a Congress the next year, having held a Congress 2 years earlier in 1996. That was the first Congress that had a candidate being elected 2 years before the election. Again, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings was watching. Then he sold it to the NDC that you also need when you are not in government. So there's a caveat. When you are not in government, you elect 2 years before. When you are in government, you elect 1 year before. So they elected, not in government, they had to elect 2 years before. So this took the MPP to the Sunyani October crunch, do or die, all hell break loose, come high water, come heaven. The candidates must be elected in October. And I have to proudly say that I was in Sunyani back in the day. Myself and Carlos Bombrazi wrote a report on the Congress for the West Africa magazine. We've been doing this for a very long time. That's what 1998 is 27 years ago. Yeah, 27 years ago we were in Sunyani at the Sunyani Catering Center. And that was the first time I had a conversation with Professor Albert Edubwahin. Edubwahin told me during lunch, all that is captured in my book. Edubwahin told me during lunch that even though he thinks that Akufo-Addo is a great candidate, for the occasion of today, John Agyekum Kufuor would be elected. I remember that it never left me. Edubwahin explained to me, he was sitting in the company of Courage Kwashiga, explained to me why he thinks that John Agyekum Kufuor would win the contest. We went in, Stanley Adjiri Blankson and Kwabena Japan were the campaign managers for Nana Akufo-Addo. And we went into the race. Akufo-Addo was very popular and a lot of music and cheering. At the end of the day, the results were announced. So the MPP had a humiliating defeat in 2024, the largest sort of defeat that any political party has suffered in the Fourth Republic. Until then, it was the 2016 one of the NDC, and now is the 2024 one of the MPP. So the party set up a committee to look at the constitution of the party, make recommendations to strengthen the party, make corrections on what happened, speak to diverse people, actors, non-actors, observers, civil society, political reporters, etc., etc. They spoke to a wide range of people. Now, the recommendations of the council were as follows. They wanted a reform of the delegate system. They wanted 1 member, 1 vote, recommended as a long-term goal to be implemented by 2028. That is to say, 1 member of the MPP, any member of the MPP who is in good standing will vote, but that's coming up later on in 2028. Short-term expansion of the electoral college at the polling station level, increase executives from 5 to 7, adding communications officer and electoral affairs officer. In the electoral area, they want to adopt the electoral commission's demarcations to reduce confusion and conflict, they say. Create a 5-member electoral area executive committee to replace the current 1-man structure. Delegates inclusion expansion. The committee proposed giving voting rights at National Delegates Conference and or primaries to A, former MPs due to their experience and past constituency leadership. B, former MMDCAs voting at both parliamentary and presidential primaries. C, former ministers and deputy ministers voting only at presidential primaries. D, former constituency and regional executives voting at respective primary levels. And E, former government appointees, example ambassadors, CEOs, not automatically included unless they serve as patrons. So for the government appointees and ambassadors, they are not automatically included because they are appointees or ambassadors. They will be included if they serve as patrons of a constituency or the region. Okay, now these are the other recommendations. Presidential primaries. Strong recommendation to hold early presidential primaries, preferably by March 2026. So this is what the committee recommended after speaking to a whole lot of people. Fill the perceived power vacuum, strengthen the party unity and reorganize efforts. Abolish the superdelegate system, describing it as restrictive and outdated. Expand the presidential electoral college to include former executives, MPs, MMDCs, and ministers, national/regional patrons and elders, TESCON coordinators. All of them will be included in the presidential primary. Major recommendations: party structural reform, new standing committees, electoral affairs, communication, political strategy, and security and intelligence, new directories, policy, training and capacity building, patriotic institute, persons with disability, civil society, and professional bodies, diplomatic engagements as well. Major recommendations again: internal governance improvements, a manual for party officers to clearly outline responsibilities, especially for vice chairperson and deputies, should be a supplementary document and embedded in the constitution. Biennial delegates conference instead of annual, shifts from annual to every 2 years delegates conference. That means they're going to spend a lot more money. More include elective versus appointive positions. Recommended maintaining appointed executive positions with justification. It ensures diversity, gender, tribe, and expertise. Allows appointment of technically skilled persons who may not contest elections. Major recommendations again: youth and women participation. Redefine youth age limits from 39 to 35, aligning with the international norms and national youth policies. Voting rights for all youth delegates to elect the national youth organizer. Voting rights for all female delegates to elect the national women's organizer. Disciplinary procedures. Shift the power to suspend members pending disciplinary actions from the executive committees to disciplinary committees to avoid abuse and political victimization. Sector, committee, and policy engagement. Allow for resolution and adoption of sectoral policy papers during the delegates conference. Clarification of leadership. Propose constitutional amendments to formally designate the national chairman as the party leader, ensuring clarity and unity in leadership structure. So this is a major amendment because in the past, once a presidential candidate emerges, he is the leader of the party. When there's no presidential candidate, the chairman of the party. Frank Davis' committee is recommending a change in that. They want a stability. The national chairman is the leader at all times. That's what they want. Okay. So all of these proposals. So the conclusions are, they say that the recommendations aim to modernize and streamline party structures, increase inclusivity and participation, minimize factionalism and internal conflicts, respond to apathy and promote unity and efficiency. The report provides a roadmap for a constitutional reform in line with party tradition and future electoral strategy, especially as the party prepares for what they say is victory in 2028. I think we have to applaud Frank Davis' committee. Kind of thinking that went into that was amazing. Congratulations, Mr. Davis and your team. I think you did an excellent job. And it's good for political parties to show this level of expertise and thinking and broad-based consultations and that kind of thing. It's good for the ultimate democratic dividend of our country. All right, so this is what they have recommended. Now, all of these recommendations are heading to the University of Ghana Stadium on the 19th of July for these recommendations to be accepted by the highest decision-making body of the party, the National Congress. Yes, okay. So this is where we are. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that some people feel that electing a presidential candidate first before electing polling station, constituency, regional, and national chairman, which is what he used to be, it's a problem. It's bad. The famous one of the opposition has come from Mr. Boadu, another gentleman from Infants Film School. Now, Boadu says that this is wrong. This is fundamentally wrong because, according to him, you have a system that is already working. You don't change it. And he says, especially in the analogy that he used, that you don't build a roof before you build a foundation. In fact, if there's no foundation, you really cannot build a roof. Oh, I was going to ask the lawyers to remind me of the Latin maxim. Apricu is there, she remind me. What's this? You can't put something over nothing and expect it to stand. It's a maxim that Justice Cleggan likes to use. You can't put something over nothing and expect it to stand. Send me the text. Let me read it. There's a Latin maxim. I really love it. So Boadu here says, you don't roof before the foundation. Boadu criticizes NPP's proposals to elect flag bearer on January 31. A member of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Jako, has raised concerns over a proposal by the party's national executive, blah, blah, blah. The party officially announced that Saturday, January 31, 2026, as the date for its presidential primary to elect a flag bearer for the 2028 general election. The announcement was made by the party's General Secretary, Justin Kodua, following a meeting on Tuesday, 17th, blah, 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 blah. However, in a statement issued on Wednesday, Mr. Jako warned that prioritizing the flag bearer elections ahead of other key internal elections would lead to a significant problem, blah, 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 blah. I have followed with keen interest and deep concern the outcome of the national executive election, blah, blah, blah. Boadu makes his point. He says that it is politically misguided for a party like the NPP to elect a flag bearer before choosing the executives who are expected to support the presidential candidate during the campaign. Okay, I'll stay with this one. I disagree, or we disagree with Boadu completely, absolutely. Because we think that in politics, as in any human endeavor, the circumstances must dictate the strategy. That's very important. And producer, I'm starting my theory, so please pick it from here. This is my theory in response to Boadu. I'm saying, or we are saying here on Good Evening Ghana, that we disagree with the respected Boadu for this reason. In politics and in most life endeavors, the circumstances must dictate the strategy. The strategy does not begat the circumstance. The circumstances begat the strategy. The circumstances determine the strategy. It is for that reason that the MPP have not continued to elect with 2,000 delegates. It's for that reason that the MPP has not continued to elect in the election year. Because when you look at the circumstances, then you develop a strategy for it. And in politics, circumstances change. They are very dynamic. Circumstances are all not the same. If all circumstances were the same, Professor Dupont would have been repeated in 1996 if all circumstances were the same. But it's not the same. So you have to look at the situation of what has happened or what is happening or what you find yourself in. And as a result of that, you then develop the strategy. As J.B. Dankwa told the Supreme Court in the famous Ria Koto case, the creator cannot be more important than the creator. The creator, J.B. Dankwa said, is always more important than the creator. So the circumstances of what has happened is the creator. That's what has created the need. So when the need arises, we sit down and plan and do novel things, do things differently. We have to do things differently to expect different results. There's a saying in some of these motivational speakers who always say that you cannot continue to do the same thing and expect different results. You always have to do something different for different results, and people must come together to think. When the NPP first said that they were expanding the delegates thing, NDC was laughing at them. Later on, Fly Lieutenant Rawlings said it's a very good idea. In fact, today, the NDC's electoral college is bigger than the NPP's own. The NDC expanded and expanded beyond the NPP's own because Fly's Lieutenant Rawlings, who is the founder of the party, thought that it was such a good idea and that they have to shift and do what the NPP is doing, even do it better. So to Boadu, we cannot keep the same situation because circumstances have arisen that are very different. This is the first time that the NPP have lost an election by 41%. This is the first time the NPP has seen its parliamentary situation dwindle like this as a party in power. I'm not talking about 1996. The NPP were in opposition. In 2024, the NPP were in power. And this is the first time the NPP have seen themselves in power and seen such a massive erosion of their parliamentary strength. And that calls for a new thinking. That calls for an advanced thinking. That does not call for selfishness and egotism. No, it is new thinking that must come to bear. Any society, the NPP most of all, who prides itself in holding intellectuals and theorists, must demonstrate the way of the new thinking. And I'm excited that they are doing that. And I'm going to give you some more information about why that is correct thinking. So we're just talking about new thinking. Boadu then says that in his analogy, can you give me the house? Boadu then says in his analogy that you cannot have a foundation, you cannot roof without a foundation. Now my question to Boadu Otchere is this. Why is Boadu Otchere thinking that the roof is the presidential candidate? No. The presidential candidate of the party is the foundation. It is founded on him. The president of Ghana is the foundation. And he selects his ministers. Nobody elects his ministers. The ministers are not there before the president of Ghana comes. The president of Ghana comes before he selects his ministers. That's the circumstances that Ghana decided to go. So that what the NPP is doing, whilst it may be novel, it reflects the national constitution. The leader arrives before he selects his ministers, before he selects his MMDCs, before everything. Parliament is elected concurrent with the leader because Parliament is not part of the executive. Parliament is to have supervisory role over the executive. They are almost in competition. That's why they call them the three arms of government. Checks and balances. We remember Montesquieu, don't we? So when Boadu Otchere says that the roof is the presidential candidate and the foundation is the polling stations, I respectfully disagree. The presidential candidate is the embodiment of the party. He is not roof. He is the foundation upon which everything stands. He is going to be on the ballot. He is the foundation. The presidential candidate, Mr. Boadu Otchere, is the foundation. He is not the roof. It is upon him that the party wins or loses. He is the boss. So if you elect a presidential candidate first, in the circumstance the NPP finds itself, and then the argument is made that if you do that, then the presidential candidate emerges, then he's going to be a dictator because he's going to have his people at the polling station. But it is a worst case scenario. It is more of a disaster that you have a presidential candidate who does not have a constituency chairman. It's worse that I'm the presidential candidate, but the constituency chairman in Atebubu is not my man. Constituency chairman in Atebubu is Oliver Vormerhorst's man. How can I work with Oliver Vormerhorst's man who has already become the constituency chairman before I become the presidential candidate? All constituency chairman, all regional chairman, all polling station executive must work towards the presidential candidate. It makes a lot of sense if you are in disarray for the presidential candidate to emerge first at this time. There are several other advantages I'm going to show to you tonight, but let's settle on this foundation matter. So, and maybe I want to open phone lines tonight so people can tell me what you think about it. Soundman, start seeing whether we can open phone lines tonight. This analogy about foundation, my view of the matter, that in a political party or in governance, the foundation is the boss. It is upon him that it is founded. It's upon him. You can't found it and come and put him at the top. He is the guy upon whom the NPP rallies. That is why during the political communication, if you say something about somebody, sometimes the political communicator was what did he say? He said, oh, he's saying that Joshua Labi has done something, so ignore him. Joshua Labi is not on the ballot. He's not on the ballot, ignore him. But go and say something about John Dramani Mahama, and the communicators will be charged on you like something. They'll come upon you because you are attacking the foundation of their fortunes. So that is the foundation. The presidential candidate is the foundation. If you are running an election and they say that Muhammadu Bawumia, or they don't talk, they say that Napo has done something. Napo has said something. Oh, but Napo is not on the ballot. Napo is not on the ballot. Go and say that Bawumia has done something. The phones will be ringing. Charlie D. was saying Bawumia said, hey, look, go on Joy FM, News File, be there. Who is going on News File for us? Who is on City? Charlie, who is, hey, call Paul Adom Otchere. Did he hear what they said about Akufo-Addo? Because you are attacking the foundation. And for the opponents of the political party, their interest is to attack the foundation. You remember, when Akufo-Addo was president, during the, I think soon before election 2020, some video popped up. Some guy goes to Akufo-Addo's house and gives him money. I'm sure you remember that. And then Akufo-Addo takes the money and says, thank you very much. And the NDC went at it. The juggernaut of the NPP came down heavy in defense of it. That this happened before 2016. That's what I was told. That's what everyone was told. I came here on television and said, this video happened before 2016. And we analyzed the video and we saw that it was before 2016. It is because Adodankwa Akufo-Addo is the foundation of the NPP that if he collapses, everything collapses. So the presidential candidate is more important than Boadu Jakun would like us to think. Far more important than Boadu would like us to think. The presidential candidate is the foundation. He is the foundation. If you like today, when Sharaf did his boxing and Okudzato talked about it, have you seen the barrage of NDC coming after Okudzato? Because Sharaf is John Mahama's son and John Mahama is connected to him. If therefore Sharaf is attacked, it affects John Mahama and they are worried about it because John Mahama is their foundation. If John Mahama collapses, the NDC collapses. If Asedun Ketia collapses, the NDC does not collapse. If Ifikwete collapses, the NDC does not collapse. But if John Mahama collapses, the NDC collapses. So John Mahama is the foundation. So respectfully, Boadu Jako's analysis, I think that he needs to come again on it. Because when you talk about foundation and roof, for us political scientists, the leader of the organization is the foundation. Yes, you can sack Ansan Sadeli. She doesn't matter. You can change her appointment. It doesn't mean anything. But if it is John Dramani Mahama who has a fake certificate, oh my goodness, that's the end of the story. If it's Mahamadou Bawumia on the NPP ballot in 2024 who has a fake certificate, oh my goodness. If a story came and said that Bawumia's PhD is fake, oh Jesus Christ. But if you come and say that Paul Adom Otchere's PhD is fake, it's okay, it's fine. Tell him to step aside. If you say Miracles Abuaji has beaten up somebody at Ekropon and the police are looking for him, oh, okay, Miracles, you come, you deal with your police matter. Kojo come and replace Miracles, and then because Miracles is not the foundation. But if it is the leader who speaks like that, or something happens to the leader, so I'm just making the point that when Boadu says that you cannot put a roof without a foundation, the foundation is actually the one on the ballot. He's the foundation. It is upon him that everything rests. It's upon him that everything rests. That's very, very important. So we got to understand that as a beginning of the analysis. Now let's look at the reverse situation. And I'm coming to another theme right now, producer. The reverse situation. Assuming that the NPP were to go along the ways that they are asking the people to go. And this is against the background of the circumstances. As I said, the circumstances begat the strategy. So in the current circumstance, the NPP finds itself. Let's get onto the 43,000 polling stations and all of that. Yeah. If you want to go according to what Boadu wants us to do, and according to those who don't agree with this new principle, according to what they want us to do, you will be having to run in this current crisis situation of the NPP, which many political parties go through when they lose an election. You will be having to run 43,000 polling station elections. 43,000. Not one, not two, not 10,000, not 15,000. 43,000 polling station elections. So the candidates have emerged already. Kennedy Japan is a candidate for sure. Maybe a formidable one. Mahamadou Bawumia is a candidate. He believes that he's in the lead. Kwabene Japan is a candidate. Brian Achampong hoping to be the dark horse, is a candidate. Osei Aweduchum, the beloved education minister, is a candidate. I understand that Joe Garte will be a candidate again. Now you're going to run 43,000 polling stations, okay? So in every police station, you are going to have Kennedy Japan's chairman, Bawumia's chairman. There's no chairman or no person running for chairman who will be all of them in one. He will be Kennedy Japan, he is Bawumia, he is this, he is that. So Kennedy Japan goes in to support his candidate, Bawumia supports his candidate. Somebody will win, somebody will lose. The loser is not a loser yet, because his candidate, if we go into the election and Kennedy Japan's candidate in Tamale loses the polling station in Tamale South, the candidate has lost, but Kennedy Japan hasn't lost. So the candidate is hoping that whilst he has lost the polling station, Kennedy Japan will win the national, and they will see. Wallahi, Kennedy will win the national. You will see. They think that they can win here. We will win the national. It's going to happen. By the time you finish that 43,000, you have torn everything of the party apart. You have not even finished. You now come to 276 constituencies. There's Kennedy Japan person, there's that person, there's this person, there's that person. This is the situation the NPP finds itself. The NDC is going to watch and be enjoying it. And that is why you will find on social media that is many NDC people who are criticizing this January thing. It's a coup d'etat. It's a Bawumia coup d'etat. It's because the NDC are panicking about it. I can assure you, I've been doing this politics, as I told you, since 1998. I've been reporting on it. I know how politicians work. I've worked with NDC. I've worked with NPP politicians. I've been in their company, in their inner circle. I know how politicians think. The NDC are panicking. And I'll tell you why in the end, why they are panicking. Because they are suspecting that the dose that they gave the NPP will be the same dose given to them. And I'll show you why. So 276 constituencies are going to elect. And you are going to have the same problem. By the time you come to the 16 regional elections, the NPP may be no more. Because rancor, tearing apart, political contest always brings division. We will always say, after the Congress, let's unite, let's unite. You cannot unite. It's always easier to unite in opposition, I must admit. But you will have all of those things. So this is the other leg of the conversation. I've finished with the foundation and roof. This is the other leg of the conversation, why I'm endorsing the NPP decision to elect the flag bearer first in January, given the circumstances of what has happened. Then you come to national executive. So you do national executive. Kennedy Japan has his chairman in maybe somebody. Dr. Bawumia has his chairman, somebody. Kwabene Japan has his chairman, somebody. Brian Achampong has his chairman, somebody. One chairman will win, the other chairman will lose. When those chairmen have lost, the battle is not over, because their presidential candidate could still win. And if I am Kennedy Japan's chairman for Central Region, and he says, Paul, now I said, oh, we'll win. Saturday morning until they're brand new winning. So Kennedy comes to the event. They go and count the ballots. Paul, Adom Otchere 19%. Ekwa Uzi, maybe Ekwa Uzi is Brian Achampong's candidate. Ekwa Uzi 43%. Yeah. I call Kennedy saying, "Kofu, omato ababoni o, omato Ekwa Uzi." Can you imagine that? He said, "They jai Banian share the no, Banian share will win." Then he gets elected as flag bearer. I was his preferred chairman for Central Region, but Ekwa Uzi became the chairman. Kennedy is the presidential candidate. When he wants to come Central Region, he's calling me. Paulus, Charlie, me back Cape Coast. Inti ebe say ebe Cape Coast North on Friday. Yewi ani akọ asen o area ho, ni akọ Esiamamo ho. Say Rudolph, Rudolph donye nipa. Rudolph donye nipa. So we are not going to go to Rudolph's constituency. Oh, you be call Ajinsam ho, Ajinsam ye fine. There be Ajinsam no ka Kwabre Japan ho, ehwe ni ye o. He say, "How you sure?" Any ono so ye nko. This is what is going to happen. I can't understand how people cannot see it. It's so glaringly obvious. This is what's going to happen. Why does the NPP want to go through that? Or how does any political party finding itself in a situation where the NPP finds itself want to go through that? You don't need to go through that. Why do you want to go through that? I'm completely amazed that this brilliant idea mooted by Kwabene Japan in the beginning, that let's have an early Congress, And people are thinking, I understand that almost all the people who appeared before the committee wanted an early Congress for the flag bearership, except that some wanted polling station to be voted. Just do the polling station. After that, let's go and do the presidential flag bearer. That's what I understand. All of them wanted it. So this is a big problem. Why the NPP, given the situation it is in now, should not entertain this process of going through an election before they can elect a flag bearer. It is very important. Now let me show you. When the flag bearer race comes first and the flag bearer has emerged, everything dies. So we are all flag bearers. We go to the election and one of us is elected. Those who are not elected, they lose interest in whether they want to support somebody at some polling station, whether they want to support this, everybody is working towards the boss. If you know that you are not the boss's person and you have had some exchange of words with him and reconciliation will not work, you kindly step aside. You are still a member of the NPP. If the NPP wins government, you can become an MMDCE. You can become a deputy minister. Because whoever emerges as the leader of the NPP in January must recognize that the NPP does not belong to him alone. The NPP belongs to all the other flag bearers. And I'm sure that he will consider having the other flag bearers and keeping them a role. That's always been the NPP style. When Nana Akufo-Addo won in 2007, he got all the flag bearers involved one way or the other. Because all those flag bearers want the NPP to win. So when the flag bearer has emerged, all the other people, they will nurse some wounds in January, February, March, April, May, June, July. By November, December of 26, the wounds are dying down. They will begin to see that there's a possibility that they can win the election. And then they will come together. And so the person who has won is not going to do a winner takes all. He's going to share the system. There are deputy ministers. He's going to make sure that Educhum's people are sorted. If Educhum doesn't win, go to X people's are sorted. This one's people are sorted. Kwabena Japon's people are sorted. He's going to do that. And he needs to do that. And the elders of the party, Nana Akufo-Addo and John Ajekum Kufuor, are not going to sit down for a presidential candidate who wins to arrogate to himself everything that is a winner takes all. That's not going to happen. So it's important that the flag bearer comes so that the tension will die. Now I'll come to why the NDC doesn't want it. Remind me, that's another block. Now let me shift and go to the next agenda. Give me the presidential candidates. Yes. The scenario that I've just painted, where you're going to have what Boadu Jakun wants, where you're going to have, this is another file, please, where you're going to have all these guys go through polling station, We did a rough calculation of how much it will cost, and I'm going to share with you here a rough calculation. Mahamudu Bawumia here, viewers, if this process, voting for polling station, voting for this, that, up to flag bearer, by the time they finish, I can assure you that at the minimum, Mahamudu Bawumia will spend 35 million Ghana cedis. Minimum. Wallahi. Minimum. Mahamudu Bawumia will spend 35 million. He has not been elected as NPP flag bearer yet. He hasn't been elected yet. But he's paying money to elect his favorite people. People are coming to him. And the money they are coming to collect, I go to him. I said, oh, Mahmoud, Charlie, the Ladadeko to Ponchema is my man. Oh, if you give me 5,000, I give to him. Then the same people, they'll go to Kennedy Japan. Oh, Kennedy. Oh, you need there. Oh, Ladadeko to Ponga, mini papa, or something in the core school. I can work on him. Oh, I've been to see a crown in the Kasai. Look at the text he sent me. He's asking me that, Charlie, who should he support? Mini papa, I don't know. It will be 10,000. 10,000, 5,000, 2,000, 3,000. By the time they finish, Mahamudu Bawumia will spend 35 million cedis, and it could be 70, but conservative. 35 million is what he's going to spend. Kennedy Japan, rich man, they know he's rich man. Everybody will go to him. Oh, Kennedy, Charlie, unim say damango matna hoda matna damango da nti chairman de me ne ko school pa oh say see akro friend me say ne yiri kra na oni me yiri come all kinds of stories. By the time they finish, Kennedy Japan 35 million is gone, and he has not yet been elected flag bearer. Is finished, gone into people's hands. Some of the people are NDC. They will not even vote for NPP, but you don't know them because they speak Tree or they speak Ewe or they speak Gan and something. You are finished. 35 million will go. Kwabena Japan is a kind engineer, so he's not a money man like that. So even Kwabena Japan, 15 million it will go by the time, and he has not been elected. Osaya Educhum, where is he? 30 million, it will go. He will spend it. Brian Achampon, rich man, Brian Achampon, hotelier. in Koko Hotel. Oh, you didn't bank Koko. Oh, Rock City. Me the only na beba. Me met me the chairman 17 about Rock City Saturday. And once about will be at 10,000. Oh, me the only na beba. That's what they will be telling him. Brian Achampong will spend 36 million by the time they finish this, all this, you know. So, listen, viewers, 35 million plus 35 million, 70 million, plus 15 million, 85 million, plus 30 million, 120 something, plus 36 million, all that money could have gone to the MPP to organize January. Why are you going to, what is Boadu Jako talking about? I don't even get it. This is the reality of the situation. It's not English and talk. This is the reality. This is why I applaud Frank Davis and Kwabena Japan and the people who were thinking that way. And all the members of the National Executive, Justin Kodua and Kennedy Japan, Muhammadu Bawumia, all of them who think that let us have a new thinking for a new problem. It's new thinking for a new problem. Look at it. This is all that money can come to the MPP party office for the purpose of organizing January's election and organizing the rest of the elections. Now, the NDC is worried, and I'm telling you why now. The NDC is worried because if any of these gentlemen emerge 31 January as the MPP's presidential candidate, he is the only one on the ballot in 2028. He's the only one. The NDC don't have anybody on the ballot yet. Now the Supreme Court's judges have confirmed to Parliament that John Dramani Mahama is ineligible to contest the election. So the NDC don't have a candidate. So the only candidate on the ballot will be one of these guys. The international community will deal with him. Civil society will deal with him. Businesses will deal with him. Police will deal with him. Military will deal with him. Why? Because he could be president. There's, you see, as Al-Hassan Suhini said on Good Morning Ghana, every election is different from the last one. So the last election is over. When you come to this election, you all start from zero. It's not like a boxing match that round 1 adds up to round 2 to adds up to round 3. Hi, Sharaf. Sharaf, you understand what I'm saying? You know boxing more than me. So round 1, round 2, round 3 all add up together. No, that's not how this one works. Election, we finish clean slate. We start from zero. So the presidential candidate that has already emerged, he is in pole position. That's what happened to John Mahama. That's how John Mahama won the election. So John Mahama was already there. He was always there. People didn't know whether it would be Muhammadu Bawumia or to be Alan Martin. I knew that it would be Muhammadu Bawumia. But people, Alan Martin, Bawumia, Kennedy, on superdelegates there, I was in Kumasi. I think you've seen that video, and I interviewed Woon to me. And I spent a lot of time with Kwame Usu. At that time, he was working for Kennedy Japan. We were having conversation. Kwame Usu is my friend. So we were having conversation. I said, Kwame Usu, I'm cry. I said, share. You be winning. Now they'll turn out. Go down. You be winning. So I was with Kwame Usu when he called Kennedy Japan, or he got a call from Kennedy that there was some problem in the north when this whole showdown came about, you know. So by that time, John Mahama was already there. So if one of these people emerge, and I am from Winneba, apologies to Afenyo Markin, I'm from Winneba. So I go to Kennedy. I didn't vote for MPP in the last election. I voted for NDC. But what I want NDC to do for me, Winneba, they are not doing it. I go to Kennedy, I say, Ofa. Into a day, they say, we are sure, say, Oba, Winneba AstroTurf, we are sure, so by he says, oh, AstroTurf, no, I already have a plan for it. Oh, I have a plan for it. This is the plan. Once I win in December, 6 months down the line, this money is coming. Maybe by AstroTurf, Winneba, Gomwa, many in Amamo. So I start thinking, Kennedy, Bawumia, Kwabena Japan, maybe Bernard Champon, maybe. So if I get connected with him as somebody who needs an AstroTurf, and I am sure that he will give me the AstroTurf because he has showed me the evidence, and this is in 2026, and the NDC is going to elect his candidate in December 2027. I don't know which candidate they are going to elect. I don't know. They are going to Julius Debra or Asenuket. I don't know. But now I know the MPP candidate. This one is going to be on the ballot. I work with him. He says, go and bring me your land documents. I will give you the AstroTurf. He brings me the land documents. So he's my man. I'm going to vote for him. By the time the NDC is going through the fights, me, I don't care. And the NDC will finish their fight 1 year to the election. You can't even find the candidate. 1 year, he's busy. He's chief of staff. He's party chairman. He's going here. In the case of Bawumia, he was vice president, doing vice president work, doing part. Oh, I don't have time to go and see him. I will work with this guy. And this guy will be elected. I'll tell you a story which I didn't tell many people. Some important clergymen, of course, I cannot mention their name. Very important clergymen. And I knew their political biases. 2 of them. They spoke to me and said, Paul, Charlie, John Mahama, he has had a change of heart. Charlie, when the guy comes back, Charlie, the guy is going to work. And I said, Papa, are you sure? He said, I've spoken to him. He's come to my house. I've spoken to him. He submitted himself to prayer. And I'm telling you that John Mahama is a changed person. This was in 2022. NPP didn't have a candidate yet. And this is a clergyman whose political philosophy did not vote for John Mahama in 2020. But he's telling me in 2022 that Charlie, he has spoken to John Mahama, he has had a change of heart. So by the time Bawumia emerged, he doesn't even have space in his heart to talk to Bawumia and ask him, what are you going to do or what are you not going to do? He's not interested. He has had a full blast conversation with John Mahama, and he's assured that John Mahama is a changed person from the things they said about him in 2016, and he's going to support John Mahama. Did we not see that happen? That's what the NDC is afraid of. The NDC is afraid that the same thing is going to happen to them. Because when the candidate emerges, the chief of defense staff, I can assure you. But that's what Dan Parry was doing. That's what Dan Parry was doing. Dan Parry was looking at the thing and saying, hey, every day he's in John Mahama's house in Chain Homes. Security were reporting that, hey, but Dan Parry too, every day, what is he going to do at Chain Homes in John Mahama's house? They say, but his IGP can visit the presidential candidates. And Dan Parry was boisterous about it. If I go and see John Mahama, so what? Is he not the candidate of the NDC? And he was defending himself, and he made a lot of sense. So by the time the Bawumia and things emerged, Dan Parry was sure that John Mahama is a candidate that you have to protect. Unfortunately for him, he was sacked. But this is what happened. And these are realities. Truth. If you are inside where I stand, you hear all of these things. So you will see NDC on social media. Oh, it's about Bawumia coup. Oh, NDC, NPP, how? How are you crying more than the bereaved? Are you an NPP man? What is your problem? If NPP want to destroy their party, you should be happy. What is your problem? You should be happy. But they are crying. Oh, the general idea is not good. Cry. NPP will destroy themselves. How can you vote them down before you go and vote the top? What is them? Hey, Diufia Sem, Professor Mills said it. Diufia Sem, and let the NPP destroy themselves. It should inure to your benefit. What is your problem? You are fighting your Asedu Ketia and Julius Debra. Let's deal with that. Me, I have a side there. I support somebody there. I'll say it when the time comes. But not now. But you are going to fight. So I like to speak to patriots. I think that the NDC should also go through the same thing. The NDC can also go and think and see that the circumstances is dictating something. So let's do something. Maybe let John Mahama announce next year that the party has decided that in view of everything happening, that this person will come after me. No contest. I don't know whether they'll be able to achieve that. But they have to think innovatively out of the box and create something. This is MPP's out of the box thinking, and I commend them for that. So this is why the NDC is, and if I were NDC, I would be afraid too. I mean, I will have to go into conclave and think that, hey, Charlie, what should I do? This thing is going to be a problem. Because if one of these guys emerge in January, you see that he's going to Harvard, he's going to London, he's going to Angola, he's going to South Africa, he's going to market women. Now, when the person emerges in Makola Market, oh my goodness, they are going to say, yeah, because he's a candidate on the ballot. What are you doing with constituency polling station? What? Police station who? Constituency what? They are very important, but they are not on the ballot. They are not on the ballot. So the NPP has done what I call a master stroke. This is solid, massive, and they should go in January and elect their leader and let the politics begin. I am excited because I like them. And I believe that they have better plans for Ghana. I believe that they have men who can really think and make things happen. And I know that one day the Akufo-Addo legacy will come on top again. The same way the Akufo legacy sank to its lowest. And eventually the Akufo legacy was now being propounded by no less a person than Fifi Kwete of the NDC. Fifi Kwete, who denigrated the Akufo legacy forever. In 2024, he lifted up the Akufo legacy. It's the same thing will happen. One day, you will see the most acerbic of thanks against Akufo-Addo speak about Akufo-Addo's legacy. That will be the day. I'll come back here, God willing, and remind you viewers that I told you that that's how politics is. They will sink you, they will raise you. Margaret Thatcher of Britain was sunk to the lowest. Today, Margaret Thatcher's legacy is up. Ronald Reagan, when he attacked Colonel Gaddafi, his legacy was brutalized to the lowest. Today, Ronald Reagan is celebrated in American political history. That's how it is. That's how it is. It's not going to change. That is the way human beings work. And that's how it is. So I believe that this is a good decision that the NPP has taken. I've spoken too much. I'm sorry, viewers. I talk too much. Forgive me. I think I'd like to take a few phone calls on this one. So let's get the phone lines ready. But let's get the text messages ready as well. Who should I start with? Let's text messages talk. Antoinette? Antoinette's in a beautiful jersey. Is it a Barcelona jersey you're wearing?
No.
Oh, it's basketball.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. What are people saying?
Well, since people are having their own, conversation around the flag bearer position of the NPP, so we'll start with Tijani Wandami says, "Good evening, Paul. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I think that the NPP's early Congress is a positive development that would welcome and support all the other people. Warm greetings to Salifo Isaka." Now, Akaziri Robert says, "I perfectly agree with you because in 2024, the NPP lost the election based on a shaking foundation, and that foundation was President Nanado, who shook, and the roof, that is the polling station, got off and allowed rain into the foundation, which of course got them defeated." Hiroshima Guy says, "We need a distinct leader to start the job as soon as possible. There is a lot to do, and we cannot use 1 year going into elections to do all of these things. After 2026, the leader would have just 2 years to do the town hall meetings, workshops, conferences, engaging international communities, diplomats, and have much time to draft a coherent manifesto that resonates with the problems of the country. I do believe that this is the best decision the NDC has made so far." He goes on to say that all these internal divisions and insults from the various camps will come to an end after the primaries in January 2026. And then we can focus on energizing the ground base on a flag bearer and a leader. Now, Jacoby disagrees and says, "Even though Paul's analysis holds a bit of water, the delegates seem to be the foundation of the party. You can't have a presidential candidate, but if the numerous delegates don't campaign or rally behind the candidate, it comes to a naught. The delegates are the foundation of the party, even though the flag bearer is equally important." Now, that's fair in view. Now, Isiama Kingsley says that the approach the NEC has proposed is a perfect solution to curb divisions associated with NPP's internal elections. Over the years, the NPP has had deep cracks because everyone wants to belong to a faction at the top. If the presidential candidate is elected after polling station executives in December, this will help the party's formation from the bottom geared towards the party's interest. I suggest that I support this initiative with 1,000 bags of stamps. The bottom approach over the years hasn't really helped us. The top to bottom approach is our surest bet." Michael Addo says, "Paul, you needn't have to talk about this Boachi Ejako issue at all, because I don't think all the elders who went to the meeting agreed with this idea, but they accepted it anyway. I think it's a matter of majority consensus. What exactly is the fuss about? Does he want to be treated differently?" And then lastly, Noah Amankros also comes to disagree and says, "I think the presidential candidate is the roof, while the delegates are the foundation. I agree with what Paul said when he said the situation at hand could trigger new ideas. However, I still do think that we can build the roof in the case of pavilion, but for now, the delegates are the foundation."
Okay, so I'm going to begin with the whole passport issue. And Stephen Rereku says, "The USPS is not like the postal service in Ghana. A personal friend is unable to travel to Ghana because of the mess created by the minister. This is a complete lie." Now we go to Alhaji Bob Sidi, and he says, "Assalamu alaikum, Apostle Paul. Good evening to you all in the studio. Paul, even at the passport office, delivery has become a mountain. My passport and other colleagues were due for delivery about 3 weeks ago. I just received mine today, but colleagues are yet to receive theirs over 4 weeks today. Ablakwa should better allow us to go to the office and collect our passports, as we were doing years back. In fact, Paul, Ghanaians are suffering under Ablakwa at the passports office and at the embassies outside. Tonto Kwame says, this is one of the important shows. If not this show, how can we have identified all the criminals and fake entities? Now, Paul, the Latin word you were asking about, seems Jacobi found it, and he says, Paul, this is the Latin word, ex nihilo nihil fit. Nothing comes from nothing. Hiroshima guy says, Honorable Boachi Ejako is missing the point. This is not an issue of building or construction. There is a reason we say situation demands. The situation now demands the first buy the chicken that will bring forth and hatch the eggs, and not the eggs expecting to have a chick that will grow into a chicken. Master Planner Junior Kintampo says, Wallahi, Mr. Paul, Kai Komi, I really enjoyed your analysis on the new thinking and the fact that the candidate is the foundation. As a communicator, you have made the work much easier for me. This is why I always sacrifice my sleep to learn on Good Evening Ghana with Apostle Paul. God bless you. It is still possible, inshallah. Over to you, Paul.
Okay, we're now going to do the. It's getting very busy. Sorry, my lips are dry, so I'm doing. Sorry, viewers. Good evening, Mr. Okudzato Mboafo of FIC. He's typing, and I like talking to Okudzato Mboafo because we have these political conversations. We've been having them forever and ever. He's left, I'm right. It's like me and Kwesi Pratt, and he's typed. Could you let me come over after the show, and then like we used to do, and then we can talk. When I said that, he stopped typing. He sent me laughter. But I received a text from Samson Ladi, my good friend, and he says that everything rises and falls on leadership, like Hans Kelsen's Grundnorm. That's the Grundnorm theory. Lawyers will understand that. Like Hans Kelsen's Grundnorm in constitutional theory of foundational validity. That's your theory. Yes, Samson. Thank you very much. That's what I'm talking about. Kelsen's Grundnorm. So at those days, okay, let me not drive into something viewers cannot relate to. There's a saying that the Attorney General has heavily relied on Kelsen. If therefore Kelsen goes, he goes with him. It was in the Salah case. Samson, thank you very much for watching. I will see you on Newsfile on Saturday. Now, we have a caller on the line. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Who are you and where are you calling from, please?
I'm David, calling from Amasaman.
Amasaman, let's hear you. What do you think about the theory?
Good evening, Mr. Paul.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Who are you and where are you calling from? I'm David, calling from Amasaman.
Yes, please, go ahead. Lower the TV a little bit, please.
Okay, I think it's okay. For the beginning, I wasn't getting you, but as time goes on, okay.
Are there two people talking? Your television. Can you lower it a little bit, please? Is it still on? Hello? Okay, do you have another caller? If I don't have a caller, then please read another text message. Antoinette, you. Yeah, please.
Yes, so a little backtrack to the story of the visa issuing, right? Ponsa Frimpomat says that the USPS has absolutely nothing to do with the issues going on at the embassy. After the minister closed down the embassy and literally sacked all the local staff and foreign affairs staff, he brought his own people who had no understanding of the entire chain of the process and rather came to mess the system up all over, even with bringing 2 officers from the New York mission. He had to immediately plead with the local staff to return to a system. At the time, delays and other administrative mishaps have occurred because of his reckless actions. As we speak, the embassy has gone back to issuing visa sticker, which the embassy stopped using for some time now instead of the digital visa. He even said that the embassy, after resuming, has issued 800 plus visas, which appear to all be lies. Now, Michael Ankapon says again that the minister should stop shifting blame to the U.S. Postal Service for the 6-week visa delivery delays. As someone living in the U.S., he says, I can't affirm that the USPS is not the culprit.
I have a call on the line. Hello, what's your name, sir?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. What's your name?
Mr. Boadu, this is Adom Otchere.
Oh, Alfred.
Yes, sir.
From Adenta, let's hear you. What's happening?
Sir, we are about 26 here watching Good Evening Ghana. And the message we have for you is that we need you in Parliament.
Oh.
I think you've been at your time well on TV. This analysis you are doing is telling us that we need you in Parliament.
On the MPP side,
Parliament.
On the MPP side.
We'll be very grateful. The MPP will be very grateful to have you. To have a good brain, a forward-thinking Ghanaian like you on our side.
Thank you,
I've
Alfred.
gotten calls from the people of Ejoso. They said they are waiting for you, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Alfred. In God's own time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Antoinette, go on with the conversation, please.
Right. Let's talk about visa issuance. As someone who lives in the US, he says he can affirm that the USPS is not the culprit, that the real issue stems from all the ill-considered decision to shut down the embassy, which he thinks is a move that has backfired disastrously. He says it's time that the minister snap out of the political theatrics and fulfill his ministerial responsibilities with integrity and foresight. Ghanaians deserve leadership, not excuses, he says. We'll continue.
Okay, let's take a call now. I think I have somebody on the line. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Paul.
Good evening.
This is Citizen Thomas.
Yes, please.
Citizen Thomas from Upper East.
Oh, yes. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
In fact, your program is very educative and very historic. To be frank, I am very happy when I'm always sitting by the radio or the television. You are doing well. And what I would say is that may the good Lord continue to protect you and guide you. But, Honorable Paul, like what my other colleague said, we really need brains like you to be in Parliament. You are doing very well. May the good Lord continue to bless you. But you know, these noise makers and other things, they are just making noise. But at the end, the MPP will win. And at the end, it's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia still. Nobody, and it is still possible.